Dear teachers, welcome to JS in English Learning. We are with Unit 7 of PGTRB. We are discussing the novel Coolie by Mulk Rajanan. We are in the detailed discussion of Chapter 4 and the rest of the novel. Now, Chapter 4 deals with the life of Munnu in a bigger city called Bombay, Mumbai. Okay, Mumbai is a modern term. The old name is Bombay. Okay, now this man, you find Munnu is just a 14-year-old boy, maybe older by a few months, and this boy is moving in that big city, crowded city called Bombay. While walking, he is fascinated by the very big buildings and the architectural marvels in that particular city. At the same time, we find that the sun is very scorching. The author is making a very beautiful description about how life is in the city. Okay, and then while he is walking in the city, he thinks about his childhood, his life in the village with his friends. Okay, and there you find that this little boy is now friendless, but for the mahout. Mahout. Mahout means elephant rider, a man who has tamed the elephant and who travels in the elephant. That mahout alone is the only friend for Munnu in this unknown big city. The Bombay city ponona, the elephant driver gives him a good meal and guides him out of the station premises. And the station and there he finds that this fellow finds himself in a very strange and complex city. And there is a beautiful description about the life in Bombay. How people dress themselves and the various types of vehicles will go there. But as he goes there, he becomes disillusioned because the condition of coolies in Bombay is very, very disgusting. அங்கேயும் கூலிகளுடைய சிச்சுவேஷன் வந்து ரொம்பவும் மோசமாக இருக்கிறது. கூலி அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, here the term is a daily wager, a man who doesn't have a permanent job, a man who gets only meager money for the work that he works. And these people, where are they? They are there on the sides of the road. They have settled down as slum dwellers in a very big city. Okay, and then you find that this boy has very embarrassing situation in the city. He tries to enter into a restaurant and he tries to have a drink of soda water, but then the bearer doesn't treat him well because his appearance is not that of a well-to-do a boy who belongs to a well-to-do family. நம்ம இந்த காக்கா முட்டை அந்த மாதிரி படம் பார்த்தோம். அங்க அவங்க பசங்க கையில காசு இருந்தாலும் அந்த பீஸா சாப்பிட முடியாம முழிக்கிற விஷயங்கள் இருக்கு. காசு இல்லாத போதும் முழிக்கிற விஷயம் இருக்கு. And how the world treats poor men or slum dwellers. அது அந்த படத்துல சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. இங்கேயும் முன்னுக்கு அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருக்கு. And as he keeps on walking, amidst traffic, there is a girl who gets caught. And the girl is saved by Munnu. And the girl's father is a person by name Hari. And this man Hari is a coolie in a cotton factory in Bombay. And now you have a new benefactor for Munnu. Who is the new benefactor? In the earlier chapter, you had a benefactor for Munnu. Who is the man?
Prabhuday.
Seth Prabhu Dayal. And then towards the end, you have Mahout. And then you have, in this episode, you have Hari, who was a coolie in a cotton factory. Coolie, in the sense, daily wager, the common man. Okay. And Munnu becomes very friendly. And the wife of Hari also becomes a good friend of Munnu. And they take this boy into their family and they offer to take Munnu to the factory. And there, Hari and Munnu meet the foreman, and the name of the foreman. Okay, the name of the foreman will be introduced a little later. And okay, the foreman of this particular factory is named Jimmy Thomas. Okay, who agrees to give a job to Hari and their children, and he demands a commission for getting this job. உங்களுக்கு வேலை தரேன், பட் எனக்கு நீங்க வாங்குற சம்பளத்துல இதன percentage கமிஷனா கொடுத்துடணும். Okay, and then he also advances some money to Hari on high interest rates. ஏன்னா அவங்கள்ட்ட காசு இல்ல, அதனால காசு தரேன், ஹை இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் கொடுத்துடணும், அதே நேரத்துல நீ வாங்குற சம்பளத்திலையும் எனக்கு இத்தனை percentage கொடுத்துடணும். Okay, and then these people are given a hut for rent, and the money that is demanded is 3 rupees a month for rent. And what is that? It's almost a dilapidated hut, almost a hut which is about to break. Okay, that is what we see. The hut is in a dilapidated condition. இடிந்து விழக்கூடிய நிலையில் இருந்த ஒரு வீடு. அந்த வீட்டையே இவரு 3 ரூபாய் ஒரு மாதம் கொடுக்க வேணும். 3 ரூபாய் அப்படிங்கிறது ஒரு பெரிய பணம் அந்த நேரத்துல. Okay, now we find what is Munnu's job in the factory. Munnu's job consists of moving the handle of the machine with one hand and of the joining the end of the thread with knots whenever it breaks. The thread making la irkaru. And then in the factory there is a well-built man. Okay, and the well-built man is Ratan, and this Ratan and Munnu, they become very close to each other. Okay, but Munnu finds that the job in that cotton factory is very disturbing. And why is it disturbing? Because of the fine dust which will have a say on the workers. Panjamil அப்படின்னு சொன்னா பஞ்சுமில்ல ஒர்க் பண்றவங்க என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா they will get a lot of breathing related disease. Okay, and you will find that Hari's children, they meet with the accident in the factory. That incident is given, and then you find tragedy strikes in different forms, that there is a heavy rain and the Hari's hut is washed away. And who comes to shelter them? Abhina Ratan, the wrestler. He comes to the rescue of the poor workers. And now the foreman. Who is foreman? What is the name of the foreman? Jimmy Thomas. Am I right? And this man tries to fight with Hari for vacating the room without his permission. And he even tries to beat Hari. At that time, Ratan comes to save Hari. And now you find that Ratan and Munnu, they become very close in the story. And then they leave this company and they go to another company. And it is a company named Tata Steel. Tata Steel Work. And this is located in Jamshedpur. Look at the next place, Jamshedpur. From Bombay, they are going to another place, and the place name is Jamshedpur. And soon after reaching here, you find that the workers, because of their condition, they start fighting against the authorities. And because of the strike, Bombay becomes very much a troubled place. Did you get that, teachers? Okay. And you find there are different kinds of exploitation. Coolies are the most exploited group of people because there are higher ups who are also fellow Indians, but they also manipulate. And the owners, they are Englishmen. They also manipulate the workers. And you find that Ratan, who is a very strong unionist, he is pushed out of service. And this man lodges a complaint at the trade union office. And the trade union comes to the support of the workers. But when the strike becomes very intense, the factory manager, who is the manager of the factory in Jamshedpur, அப்படின்னு question கேட்கலாம். The factory manager is a person by name Mr. Little. He announces that at soon there will be short work, which means there is no work in the factory during the 4th week of every month, and no salary will be paid for it. So this kind of treatment is also given to the workers. இந்த மாதிரி வரும்பொழுது அன்னன்னைக்கு வேலைக்கு போனாதான் குடும்பத்தை நடத்த முடியும், இல்ல வயிற்றை ஜீவனம் பண்ண முடியும் அப்படின்னு இருக்கிற நேரத்துல இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டிசிஷன்லாம் வரும்போது the people go on a strike. இந்த ஸ்ட்ரைக் ஹையா போயிட்டு இருக்கும்போது the workersகுள்ளார ஒரு டிவைட் உருவாக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக என்ன பண்றாங்க, a rumor is spread by the owners. என்ன அப்படின்னா that the Hindu children are being kidnapped by the Mohammedans. And this is how Englishmen were dividing and ruling Indians. And when this news started returning, there was a communal riot. Abdina Kilachi. Upper Hindus and Muslims who were earlier brothers, they started fighting. Okay, so this particular thing started to spread throughout Bombay. And we find that Munnu becomes a victim. In Abdina, a mob of Pathansna Muslims, they attack Munnu, who is walking through a lane. He is very badly broken. At that point of time, some social activists, they come there, they take him to a nearby school, and they try to nurse him. And after getting recovered, he starts walking, and he sees the whole of Bombay almost in smoke, and there is a lot of bloodshed happening. And at that point of time, okay, he walking in the door while he is a bit dizzy. He is knocked down by a car, and the car is owned by Mrs. Main Warning, who is an Anglo-Indian lady. And this Anglo-Indian lady takes pity on the boy, and she takes him to Simla. Hey, do you remember Simla? Where is it, Simla? Yep, a place, a hilly place, which is known for its scenic beauty. Hey, ipo enga poirukanga appdin paapoma. And taking this boy to Simla, she takes care of his health, and then he recovers. When he recovers, she uses him in all ways possible. Though she is a kind lady, she is a manipulator. She abuses him physically also, because she is a woman with a different kind of sexual thirst. Even if it is children, she will be always longing to have a relationship. So there are hints in the novel that Mrs. Main Warning also used Munnu for her desires. What is the first place? Shall we recall, check it? Where does the story begin? Bilaspur. Where does it move to? Shamnagar.
Daulatpur.
Okay. It goes to Daulatpur. Let me. Daulatpur.
Bombay.
Okay. Bombay. Do you find the next place? Jamshedpur. And now from Jamshedpur, it goes to Simla. So it's a very long way that Munnu travels to. Okay. He travels to a long way. Okay. இப்படி பல இடங்கள் போயிருக்கான். ஆனா எல்லா இடத்துலயும் ஒரே மாதிரி ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் தான். என்ன ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் அப்படின்னா manipulation. Okay. Different kind of manipulation is experienced by a poor boy, aged 14 plus a few months. Maybe he is advancing, he is moving closer to his 15th year. Now, what happens to him in Simla? In Simla, you find Miss Main Warning, an Anglo-Indian who has come away from Britain, and she is here in India, and she is staying in Simla, and she takes care of Mrs. Main Warning, and Munnu is placed under a domestic servant named Mohammedan Kanzama. And we come to know that this lady, Mrs. Main Warning, okay, is an independent lady. She doesn't want to be under the control of her husband. And we also come to know that she is of a loose character. And from her foreign home, she has come to India, and she is staying in a hired flat for rent. And this lady is okay, very much attached to Munnu because Munnu seems to be very attractive in appearance. So she is moving very close to him to fulfill her desire. And then how does she do? As a foreigner, she wants to use the boy in all ways possible. So she makes him a rickshaw puller, personal rickshaw puller. Okay. And this man becomes a rickshaw puller. He pulls the rickshaw in which Mrs. Main Warning is seated. And she travels to different places in Simla. And she is pleased with India. She is exploring India, and she is using the little boy for her journey. And then you find pulling the rickshaw strains this boy called Munnu. He's still a little boy, not a grown-up adult. Adanaala rickshaw pulling is exhausting, that too in a mountain slope. At the same time, the climate in Simla also damages the health. And his lung starts swelling. He starts coughing, and he also starts spitting blood, which means he is suffering from tuberculosis. Did you get that, teachers? What is the disease that Munnu suffers from in Simla? Because of the harsh weather, chill weather, and because of exhaustion, he becomes a victim of tuberculosis. And Mrs. Main Morning is very much worried. So she calls the doctor, and the doctor's name is Mr. Merchant. He's the health officer of the city. And this man prescribes medicine, and Mrs. Main Warning is taking good care. Okay. And then we also find about the illegal affair that Mrs. Main Warning has with the doctor. Ada pathi inga information irukku. Adarkaprom we find that Munnu recovers for some time, and then he continues to work for Mrs. Main Warning. Okay, because he is very grateful towards the lady for bringing him to Simla and taking good care of him. Okay, என்ன பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா அவனோட இருக்கக்கூடிய fellow coolies, they warn him about his failing health, but he doesn't stop working. We also have certain hints in the novel that Mrs. Main Warning is using him, and because of the behavior of Mrs. Main Warning, and because of the climate, and because of the harsh nature of the work, rickshaw pulling, the health of Munnu deteriorates. It is coming down, and he is diagnosed with tuberculosis, that is consumption, and a coolie by name Mohan informs this information to Mrs. Main Warning. And then you find that Munnu, towards the end of his the last moments or the last days, he writes a letter to Ratan asking for his advice as to how to go about his life. And Ratan, who is there in where is Ratan? Do you remember where is in Ratan? Jamshedpur and back in Mumbai. He tells this man to come back to Mumbai. Please come to Bombay, and I will find you a job in the union office. He's a strong unionist now, in a very powerful position. So he is asking, okay, he is asking Munnu to return. Why do you want to suffer there in Simla? Simla is such a nice place for a healthy man or for people to recover. But there you are doing a very odd job, a very straining job. So better you come here. I'll fetch you a good job here with the union office. And he desires to go back, but tragedy strikes. Munnu coughs blood in Mohan's presence, and Mohan informs Mrs. Main Warning, and the lady comes to see him, and she is very much worried. Okay, and the doctor tells that The boy will not survive because the disease is in the advanced stage. And this boy is moved to an isolated hut because consumption was considered to be a contagious disease. And there are two other coolies who have been suffering with the same disease. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஹட்டுக்கு அவனை மாத்திட்டாங்க. And the lady visits him quite often with some fruits, but the doctor forbids her from visiting. And who is the only man who visits after some time, Abhina? It is Mohan. And Mohan is a fellow coolie who has taken a fascination for this boy, who has become a very close friend. And we find that this character Munnu, who is almost entering into his 15, and he breathed his last one day in the early hours of the night. His last. And that's the end of the epic story of an ordinary boy, Indian boy. And the name of the boy is Munnu, a victim of the poverty-ridden Indian society. Okay, this is the novel Coolie by Mulkraj Anand.